Todd Woodbridge here, and we are about to do a new segment called Legends in Lockdown. And it is a great pleasure to introduce one of the all-time legends in Goran Ivanišević to our show. Goran, thanks for joining us. And firstly, we've got to check in with where are you and how you're doing in lockdown.
Hi, Todd. I'm in Croatia, actually. Morning here, afternoon for you there, late afternoon. So everything is okay here. It's getting better. We are opening more and more things, so we are not so much locked down at the moment.
Yeah, nice to hear. It looks like you've been in lockdown. I mean, you've had the haircut, you've cut it short. How have you been coping when you couldn't get out?
You see, I cut my hair because all hairdressers were closed, so my wife did it for me. And actually, it's okay, I don't have to worry to wash my hair and all these things. So I was at home. I was really at home walking the dog twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. So that was the only time that I was going out. And being a babysitter, my wife is working, so somebody has to stay home and take care of the kid.
Good stuff. Yeah, it all comes around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now that lockdown's starting to ease a little bit for you, have you had a chance to get out? What have you done, if anything, or have you missed anything?
I mean, I miss a lot of things. Being with my friends, playing tennis. Just this thing that you're not allowed to go out. Freaks you out a little bit. So the other day I played tennis for the first time, and that feeling that being on the court, being freely talking to the people, it's just great.
That's amazing. So you actually enjoyed playing tennis again?
I really enjoy for the for the long time. I really enjoy to play, to practice. Actually, I enjoy to play the tournaments and little exhibitions, but to practice, I don't enjoy.
When we talk about lockdown, I know for me personally, it's given me a lot of time to reflect on careers. And you and I, we grew up playing juniors together. We didn't play against each other that often, but there's one tournament, one moment that lives in my memory about you. And of course, that was winning your Wimbledon in 2001. Just take us back a little bit to that tournament, because obviously you came in as a wild card. You had some injuries, you had shoulder surgery. When you look back on that now, what goes through your mind?
To be honest, I have no idea, because we don't have a sports currently, and they showed a lot of tennis on TV. All the matches. My final in '92 with Agassi and also with Pat, and I still cannot believe I won. I still cannot believe I lost that one in '92, and I still cannot believe I won this one in 2001, because the way I played before, everything was not good. And what happened in these 2 weeks, I don't think anybody will explain ever in the history, because it's just it's a miracle, kind of miracle. But I felt it actually in the middle of the first week that I'm playing good tennis again. I serve well, and I got this sound, Prestige racket, the head Prestige. They had this sound when you hit the serve, special sound, and I lost it for a couple of years, and I got it back. And that 2 weeks I served unbelievable, 230 aces, and I was really serve helped me a lot that 2 weeks.
How fortunate you were! I never got that sound in my whole career, so I never knew what it was like to serve that good. But there was something that I think you and I had a little bit in common, and although we're very different characters, and that's temperament. And one of those things in that Wimbledon that you said that I found fascinating, because I felt like I could relate to it, was the good Goran and the bad Goran. And I still talk to people about how you spoke about you needed the good Goran to turn up and keep everything clear in your head. Now that you're a more mature man, do you understand more about what was going on in those days for you mentally?
Yes, especially now when I'm coach, you need to be aware of those things. And if I can take time back, I will change a lot of things in my approach and in especially on the court. But in those times, it's tough to control yourself, and then you have to. Hopefully, in Wimbledon, I could. What I did well was to to separate this good Goran and bad Goran, and they were helping each other for the first time. Usually they were against each other, and that created a lot of bad losses, a lot of stupid losses. And in that 2 weeks, they were friends, enemies but friends. So they help each other a lot, and that's kind of interesting. And now when I look back, the last couple of years of coaching, how the players are dealing with that situation, and it's really interesting, interesting stuff.
What would you change? You said you would do things a little differently. What would they be?
First of all, I will more times be friends with bad Goran. Definitely, we will try to do things together more often, so I don't lose. Because when I look back, I lost so many matches, especially against big players, Pete, Andre, Jim. Tight matches, but they always waited for me to make some stupid, crazy mistakes, and especially that. And now when I'm coaching probably the best guy, mentally the best guy, when I see his approach, when I see how he's dealing, even when he's down, how he's coming back, how he's dealing with this, I learn a lot from him how you should be on the court.
When you talk about nice segue into your coaching career, because post-playing, you've become, one of the best coaches in the world. You have had some good racehorses, you'd say. I mean, you're talking there about having Novak on or being on Novak's team, but also with Marin Cilic, taking him to a US Open, and also a stint there with Milos Raonic. How have you enjoyed that? And what of the traits have you been able to add to their game that you felt were your strengths?
But with Marin, that was probably my biggest success, because I know Marin since he was 14, and all the procedure, I introduced him to Bob Brett, his first coach. So he went through tough time in 2013 when I started, and then 2014, I started to loosen him up. We changed a little bit of his serve motion, his approach to the game, and just not to think so much. And then a result happened in US Open, the way he played that 3 matches in a row, quarterfinals, semis, and final. That was just one of the best tennis I ever saw in my life. And that was for me, as a first-time coach, a huge, success, that I can change somebody that I could not change myself, but I did change somebody else. That was, I learned from my mistakes on the court. As a coach, I did that much better.
What was it like this year, the Australian Open? I mean, it looks like that may end up being the only Grand Slam that we're going to see in 2020. And you're sitting there, you're watching Novak play just some of the greatest tennis that's ever been played. A tough final, all the attributes that you talked about, the physical, the mental, they all came through for him. What's it like being in that team with somebody that is as good as him?
First, it's a great honor, and for me, somebody like that to call me in the team, that means that I did something well before that, and that he believes that I can help him. And being together with Marian, who is unbelievable person. I know Marian already 30-something years. We played together, and he's first of all great guy. I know Novak since he was 14, and mentality is pretty much the same. Croatian and Serbian, we are same mentality, same language, and much easy for me to talk and explain something. And to sit there and watch that final, that he was on the top, and then suddenly he was gone, and everybody thought team is going to win. And then, funny, 2 most important points in that match, Novak played serve and volley. There was break point in the 4th set when he played 2 unbelievable volleys, and the break point in the 5th set. So if somebody says Novak cannot play serve and volley, is mistaken. He can do it, and especially on the big point.
Talk about mentoring. That's what you're doing now in terms of a coach, as well as teaching them tactics. You become a mentor. Who was the best mentor for you, and who did you look up to as a young player? Because I think there's influences are there in your game that I see.
But I mean, my childhood hero definitely was as a player was John McEnroe. You know, I try. You know, we are lefty, we are same temperament, and talking to John through these years, and you know, you can learn a lot because he knows a lot about tennis, and he can really give you some good tips. I learned a lot from Nick Kyrgios, who was my coach before, and who unbelievable success with the German Davis Cup team, our Davis Cup team, Serbian, and he was coaching Becker, Stich. And I learned a lot from Bob Brett. Bob Brett was your fellow Australian, who learned a lot from Harry Hopman, probably one of the greatest Australian coach. And he taught me a lot of things, how to behave, how to play, how to change the game. And, you know, and I'm not a guy who was afraid to ask other coaches, other people for advice. You know, I know that I don't know everything, but you know, it's good to have good friends who you can learn from everybody a little bit. But these people, you know, taught me the most things about tennis, definitely.
When you look, reflect, you know, legends in lockdown, reflect on some moments of your career. We talk about, you know, winning the biggest championship in Wimbledon. But I look at you and think, yeah, what an honour it was for you to carry the flag at the Olympic Games. Of course, this is an Olympic year. That's been postponed. You won 2 bronze medalists at that particular Olympics in Barcelona. To get that honour when your country had just got its independence, that must be something very special for you.
Oh, yes, definitely. That was the first time Croatia was competing in such a big event, Olympic Games. I was luckily had this honor to carry the flag, and that was unbelievable. That moment when you enter the stadium and the whole world is watching me carrying the flag, unbelievable feeling. And winning 2 bronze medals, knowing that when I looked the draw the other day and was won by Marc Rosset, but everybody played. Jim Courier, Chang, Sampras, Becker, Steve, you. And I actually doubles. We did good in doubles. I'm still a little bit upset because we had the chance to be in the final. We lost to Ferreira and Norval, 6-4 in the 5th. Me missing a break point at 4-all, second serve, but that was a great experience. Really, really something that you don't forget. This is something that stays in your head forever.
Yeah, well, I concur with that 100%. When we talked a little bit about the 2 Gorans, it makes me think a bit about Nick Kyrgios here in Australia, because obviously he's a talent. And I think it'd be wrong if I didn't ask you, when you watch him, do you see a little bit of yourself unfolding on the court? And, you know, if you had a chance to say to him some things, would you have a message to be able to get the best out of him?
But I always liked Nick. You know, he's a good guy deep down. He has some issues. He is the worst for himself. And I know how he feels because I felt sometimes like that. He's fighting with 100 people and sometimes he wants to prove something that is impossible to prove. But I mean, it's nonsense to talk about his talent because he's one of the biggest talent there. He's the guy who can win Grand Slams, who can beat anybody any day. He's, for me, the best server in the game. He can do whatever with the ball. He has his demons. He is getting better and better, and he will honestly regret one day if he is kind of not be able to change, because the guy is so talented. Not to win a Grand Slam, there will be a shame for tennis, and hopefully he can change and do it, because I think he's a great guy. He's funny. He has some good comments, sometimes a little crazy, but deep down is good for tennis. So tennis needed Nick Kyrgios, and Kyrgios needs tennis. But hopefully he can manage to do it better on the court, and I think he could definitely in the future win the Grand Slams.
Lockdown has given us this opportunity to really take a look at ourselves. I mean, Nick will get that chance. What do you think tennis is going to look like on the men's side when we potentially get going? What's this break doing for Novak, for example? Is it a good time for him in his career? Can the other two legends in Rafa and Roger, is it going to hinder them? Because if the longer we stay away at their age, it's tougher to get going again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that hurt Novak a little bit because he was on the roll, 18 wins but it's same for everybody. It's very tough because nobody knows. It's not that like you are injured and then you're coming back in 5-6 months. But this is like nobody knows how it's gonna look like and when it's gonna happen. In my opinion, it's not going to happen before spring next year. I don't know what's gonna be a situation with Australian Open next year, but this year is no more tennis for sure. Roger did his surgery, so he's looking okay. He doesn't have to rush with his rehabilitation. Yeah, it's not going to be easy for them because they're going to be older, especially Roger, but he's still going to be hungry to prove something. And when tennis comes back, how he's going to look tennis, nobody knows. If it's going to be the same now, if we're going to join ATP and WTA together, how is that going to look like? And hopefully this ends soon, and then we can come back on normal tennis. But that's not going to happen very soon, in my opinion.
If a hypothetical one here, because we don't know how things are going to plan out. What if there was an opportunity for players to get down into Australia earlier, spend a quarantine time, if you like, where they're all able to practice and play some tournaments? Do you think that would work if we were able to do that December, January?
Definitely. I think if they open the border so everybody who comes there get tested and stays 10 days in a quarantine or whatever, how is that rule or law, and then play couple of tournaments there, they will be unbelievable. I think everybody is hungry, everybody is ready, and everybody also has to see situation, because not every country has the same situation. We have a pretty good situation in Croatia. Europe is getting better. Some other countries are not that good, but hopefully it's going to clear by December. So that will be an unbelievable idea and good thing for tennis.
So that means if we've been playing legends down here the last few years, and the crowds love you being one of the favourites, because I never saw this when you were playing in the real thing, but you become quite a comedian. Can we get you back down here and keep loving coming to Australia?
Yeah, I come. I love Australia. Australia is one of my favorite countries. You created for sure the most popular and best Grand Slam. So congratulations to everybody there, and I really enjoyed it. The weather, the food, the people. Only the thing is traveling. Every year seems a little bit further and further because I'm getting older and older. But I really enjoyed it to be there. So if this happens, I'm always happy to come.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure, and I really enjoyed being able to have a chat to you in your isolation and lockdown. And pleased to hear everything's going better in your country. We're doing okay here, but we all got to stay diligent. Big thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Todd, and stay safe. Take care, all of you.
Okay, will do, mate. Thanks for joining us on Legends in Lockdown.
Bye.